Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Kevin with Prickly Pear Camera here. And today we have a special camera. This is a Nikon Coolpix bridge camera. And the reason it's special is not because it's a Nikon bridge camera. It's because of this. Ready for it? And what we're going to try to do today is get it cleaned up and get it into working condition. And you might be wondering, what causes battery corrosion? You've probably seen this before, maybe in some of your own devices. It's very common. Whenever batteries are stored in a device for a long period of time, batteries continue to discharge. And when that's happening, the buildup of gases inside the battery can leak out through the battery's vents and through the end caps of the batteries. So what I'm going to do is take the oxide and vinegar, as well as a brass brush, and we are going to try to do what we can to fix this camera. You could wear gloves for this as well. I'd probably recommend that, but I'm just going to go ahead and remove the batteries now. One battery down. We've got corrosion internally as well. So it's a two-step process. The first thing that we want to do is get our vinegar out. And we are going to do the bottom tray here. Let me clean up some of this stuff here. I'm going to take my vinegar spray and just spray a little bit of it here. And it'll instantly start to bubble. It's just a chemical reaction. We're just trying to get some of that loose corrosion off of there, and it'll continue to bubble. We'll let that sit for a few minutes. Okay, we'll let that sit for a little bit. Now I'm going to just clean this off with one of my rags here. That's a good first step. Okay, so you can see it's already starting to look better. Now there's still quite a bit of buildup there, so I'm going to get out my brass brush here. Alright, starting to look better. I'll get out my cloth again. And I'm not too worried about that, the really fine particulate residue that you see actually inside of the battery tray, which is right here. I'm not going to worry about that for now. That's going to be relatively easy to clean off. And that won't affect the actual performance if we can get this camera to power on. So we've got that looking quite a bit better. Still a little bit of oxidization, but we just want to make sure that these contact points, this metal tray, is largely clear of residue. So once that looks good, the next step that we're going to do is actually go in to the camera and look at the bottom posts and see how they look. But what I'm going to do is actually take a screwdriver or something that's long and skinny, and we are just going to take a look at the posts that are inside and see if there's any oxidization or residue on them as well. So I'm just going to move the posts a little bit. You gotta be a little bit careful because, especially in older cameras, the posts can be quite fragile. So if you're really torquing on them and moving them around, they can actually break off, and that would render the camera useless. So I am being quite careful here. Of course, it was already broken to begin with, so you're just basically losing a broken camera. Alright. They look decent, actually. So this is a camera that when I first started my career in buying and selling used cameras, I probably would have just thrown away, honestly, and written it off. But in the spirit of really trying to make things functional, I've started to spend a little bit more time and try to get as many cameras as I can into working condition. All right, and a lot of the times this is a multi-step process. You have to go back and forth and until you can finally get it to power on. Okay, so we've got that largely cleaned out. You can see that the battery door is now closing properly. Before it was just stuck because there was so much corrosion. So that's a good start. So you can see that if there's so much corrosion that this can actually end up bowing, the bottom piece of the battery tray can end up bowing outward and render the connection very challenging. So if you have that occur, you may still need to reinforce this area with tape, but in my case, it's actually closing properly, so that's good. Of course, we won't really know until we get the batteries in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some AA batteries, put them inside, and we'll see if this Nikon Coolpix ends up powering on. This is the main problem, there we go. So now we've got the AA batteries in there. Don't worry, I'll clean up that fine residue and powder before I would actually list this if I was to sell it. I'm gonna close it up. And hit the power button, which is right here. Oh, it did. Green light came on. Power's on. Lens moves out. Let's see if we can take a picture. Well, hot dog. So that was about 5-10 minutes of work to get this camera that looked like it was ready for the trash bin into operable and working condition. Hope this video helps, and please leave a like and subscribe if you found it helpful. This should be applicable to a lot of Canon, Nikon, Sony, Panasonic cameras that use AA batteries and have that corrosion.